Thank you, Chairman, for the warm welcoming speech. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. I am Akmal from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, in collaboration with my fellow friend from Department of Mineral and Geoscience of Malaysia, or known as GMG. Today, I would like to present Malaysia's geothermal exploration and development, a review of history, progress, and latest technology toward sustainable future. 15 years back, hot spring studies was only focused on its occurrence and direct usage, such as for drinking purpose or bathing, soaking that belief can heal certain disease. In early 90s, UKM researchers had come into a hypothesis that the hot spring in Malaysia was structurally or tectonically controlled hydrothermal system. Nowadays, we have found this very existence of this hot spring usually interconnected with igneous intrusion from three main granite batholith in Peninsular Malaysia. There is the Eastern Belt, the Central Belt or the Main Range granite, and the Eastern Belt granite. All these three granite batholith or range is aligned in northwest and southeast direction. In Peninsular Malaysia, we can see some surface manifestation of this hot spring came as waterfall. This is a very typical waterfall hot spring that is occurred in Sungai Bur, Kelantan. It is in the central belt granite. This is the plain view or aerial photograph. And some may exist or occur as a pool of hot spring. This is in the Banjaran Hot Spring, Perak. This is the highest ever record surface temperature of hot spring in Malaysia. There is in Felda Sungai Kelah Recreational Park. It is 100.2 degrees Celsius with pH of 8.91, where we can see also the steaming effect. This is in Ulu Slim Hot Spring, Perak. We have these muddy pools of water, hot water. And next we have Sabah. Sabah Hot Spring is distinctively different from our Peninsular Malaysia because it has volcanic in origin. We can see some sulfur deposit here from the color. This is the one in Tawau Hill Park. And we have also here in Tawau Hot Spring, the volcanic hot spring in Sabah are neutral chloride water with high sulfate content for about 250 to 400 milligram per kilo. So in result, we can see a turquoise-like color of water. There is some surface manifestation of this volcanic origin, like travertine structure and conical shape here in Apas Kiri, Tawau. Next one, we go for Sarawak. Hot spring distribution in Sarawak usually structurally controlled with related in granite intrusion. So this one is in Paku Hot Spring. We can see this black color rock, black shale as the host rock for this hot spring. But nearby this hot spring, there's also granite intrusion. Previously, during 90s, the researcher has recorded around 60 hot spring occurrence, but today we have up to 98 hot spring in Malaysia, where we can see the hot spring distribution here by state. Perlis have 0, Kedah have 9, Perak 27, Selangor 12, Kuala Lumpur 2, Negeri Sembilan 8, Melaka 3, Johor 3, Kelantan 11, Terengganu 3, Pahang 5, Sabah 7, and Sarawak is 8. So here we can see the list of hot spring, localities with the surface temperature and the geological setting. We can relate here the geological setting with the temperature because the western belt is the youngest granite intrusion, so we can get the surface temperature is slightly higher compared to others granite intrusion in Peninsular Malaysia. Whereas in Sabah and Sarawak and Sabah it is volcanic in origin, so the system is completely different from hot dry rock in Peninsular Malaysia. We also have go for the geothermal analysis for hot spring. Here is some example for geothermal analysis in Peninsular Malaysia. So we have this quartz and chalcedony along with sodium potassium, sodium magnesium, and sodium potassium calcium. So we have the enthalpy calculated for quartz geothermal. We can get the enthalpy up to 500 and the quartz temperature up to 150, the highest in lodging. So basically from the mineralogy or geochemistry of the water, we can get the type of water. Here is sodium bicarbonate type and one neutral chloride water. This one is in air hangat Langkawi because we have saltwater intrusion from the sea because the location is nearby to the sea. So back then we have newly discovered hot spring by Hariri 2017, and this is the number 2 is the most special one for me because it is in the tunnel where TMB go for the tunneling project in Kelantan area. Then we get this hot spring emerge from the tunnel wall. So our latest finding by 2020, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 newly discovered, mainly in Peninsular Malaysia and one in Sabah with 42 degrees Celsius in Kunak, somewhere in nearby Tawau, Sabah. So for the case for Pulau Tioman, it is already been discovered and reported by the British surveyor back in 70s. Unfortunately, when we go there, there is no surface manifestation can be found, and there is no indication for thermal water where we can't feel any degree of hotness. Okay, now we go for our case study in lodging, Kelantan. This is Sungai Bur from the aerial photograph. Usually for previous study, the geophysical method that has been used is resistivity and gravity methods. Where we have this kind of anomaly, we can see some fractured zone. This is in Sungai Bur lodging area. We have this fractured zone inside the granite body. The red and purple one is for the high value of resistivity, and the low value is expected to give the pathway of the water, the hot spring. So we can see some funnel shape of this structure. So we can relate to the hypothesis back then in early 90s that say this hot spring is structurally controlled. So for the water geochemistry in this area, we still have the same water type, that is sodium bicarbonate, and slightly high fluoride mineral that is not being recommended to go for drinking purpose. So the thermometry calculation has yield up to 150 degrees Celsius for the quartz geothermometry, and the chalcedony is around 120. So now I would like to show you our well exploration back then last year in Sungai Bur lodging area. After we go for geophysical method and some geological mapping, now we decide to drill one exploration well here. You can see here this design of the well. Very high volume outpouring water during the process. We built a dam for our river to get the So these water-bearing fracture were recorded at rock layer around at the depth of 24 meter depth during the drilling. It can produce the water around 43.9 meter cubic per hour. So we managed to drill this well until 140 meter, and we get the surface temperature is about 71.3. Initially, when we hit when the first water came out, it is around 24 meter depth with 40 degrees Celsius surface temperature of the water. But as we go deeper, as the thermal gradient increase, so we get higher surface temperature of the water. Our initial target is we would like to go up until 300 meter depth. Unfortunately, when this machine is not capable to drill more because they said we got high back push or high water pressure from the well, so we stop at 140 meter depth. So this is the reading of pH. Our next case study is in Ulu Slim, Perak, because the previous case study in lodging it is considered unsuccessful because we cannot get the target temperature for 150 degrees Celsius. So we came here in Ulu Slim. Here last year we go for the MT survey in Ulu Slim Geothermal Complex. It is considered a complex because we have 6 cluster of hot spring occurring in this area, where from the resistivity value from the MT survey, same as the resistivity method, we consider the low range of 20 up to 100 ohm meter is expected to give hot spring aquifer. So here we can see the result by layer. We start from 0 meter elevation, and we can see the evolution. Here is 1,000 meter, 1500 meter, 2000 meter, 3000 meter, 400 meter, and 500 meter. We can see the spot or the spotted area of expected to be the reservoir of this hot spring. So after the integration or we go for the modeling. Here we can see the reservoir or the vent where the hot spring came out to the Ulu Slim area. So we have a huge, very huge reservoir here. This is the recharge or hydrothermal cycle model, where from our isotope analysis we can say it, the origin of the water is meteoric water, where the water from the surface, from the rain, accumulate and seep into the fractured zone and came out from the fractured zone. So the convolution of a hydrothermal cycle came from the mountain ranges. The water seeped deep beneath the surface and came out from any fracture or fault. So we can see here the isotherm of this heat source. We have 67 degrees Celsius and 140 degrees Celsius. Then the water came back to the surface. Now we go for the geothermal energy calculation based on the volumetric and Monte Carlo method. We can get here the energy capacity can be yield up to 90 megawatt electric from the first cluster there is in Ulu Slim village. Our future planning is we would like to go for a slim hole drilling in this area and go for the medium enthalpy exploration. Maybe we can develop a binary system for this area. The next geothermal exploration in this region will be driven by the thermal imaging camera, where here we have FLIR 1 Pro LT version with thermal and visual camera. So this one is the case study in Taman Shatin Ipoh. It is initially thought the heat source of this house is from geothermal origin. So we go there and we have this scanning device, and our analysis has come to this iron rod inside the concrete that being a good conductor for the heat flow. So the house is literally became a sauna, because the highest recorded temperature in the house is 150 degrees Celsius. Here is actually greater than 150 degrees Celsius. Here is we can see the iron rod inside the concrete. So after the analysis, we can see actually it is not geothermal manifestation, because we can't see any water flow. So besides we find some electrical leakage during our survey. So what we decide is we call for the wireman, and our hypothesis is true, because this is some just electrical leakage. So this method can be used. The next method of geothermal exploration in Malaysia is using this thermal imaging camera, where we can see here there is a limitation inside this case study. It is in Gunung Ledang area, where we have hot spring inside a river. So we go for this thermal imaging, and we can see some thermal gradient. So we have find a new hot spring inside the river in Gunung Ledang area using this thermal camera. So we plan to go for the to attach this camera to the drone, so we have a beautiful aerial photo. We can see the isotherm of the area. And that's all from me and my colleague Dr. Hariri. Thank you for your attention.